Just thought I'd do a video about flash guns for the Canon 5D. I've used the 580EX. I used it for I think about 8 years, and brilliant camera. Getting that wrong already. Brilliant flash guns, but I've decided this year to change and go over to the Sunpak flash guns. I've used them at a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and I have to say I'm completely changing over to these. First reason is 580s do not have an optical slave, which I found very useful because you can use it with any camera. Now the optical part is just a setting where you set this camera up as a very simple flash gun. Set this camera, I'm still saying the wrong thing. Should I start the video again? No, carry on, one take, here we go. Flash gun. So we're on flash guns now. Let's look at what we've got in this flash gun. Or should we start this again? Or shan't we start this again? Or shall we start this again? This is a hard video. Now, let's carry on. Let's have a look. So I've got some batteries for it. Can you open the battery cover? There we go. So I've always used energizers. This is really going bad today. I'm going to put this one up anyway. See how bad you can make a YouTube video. So I've always used that exact battery. When you start using something, you sort of get into the habit of using it, and then you never change. They're probably better batteries, I don't know, but I've always found that these work very well. And I'm using a lot of flash at the moment at weddings, because I'm moving on from just pure reportage to doing a few other things now. These little plastic cases, can't remember where I got them. I think there's a company called 7 Day Shop that did these, but I've always found these to be very good because they're solid cases, very simple. So let's put some batteries in it and talk about flash guns. Bad start to the video, but let's hope it gets better. Here we go. So it's always best to put them in the right way up because that helps a lot. I think we're all right. Let's switch it on. That's one thing at the beginning when I started using the flash gun I wasn't that taken with, was this little door. You know, you get what you pay for with this equipment, and I would generally use all Canon. But as we go along you'll see why I'm interested in these. So this little door is fine, but I can see that it might have a problem. The other difference you'll notice from a 580 is the wheel. So with a 580 you have a little latch that comes across, this side with a 580, and you can pull the flash off very quickly. So this wheel sort of, I wasn't that sure about that, clamping down on top of the camera. It's very plasticky, but you're getting what you know. This was £65 for a guide number of 58. Very powerful flash gun, and hopefully you'll see why I'm using it by the time we finish the video. The contacts are actually for Nikon and Canon, so you can use this particular flash gun on Nikon or Canon, which wasn't really a selling point to me, but if you've got Nikon cameras and Canon cameras, that might be for you. So you can actually use iTTL or eTTL if you're into using either, which I don't use at all if I can help it. I use the camera and flash again now. So I only use the flash on a manual setting the majority of the time. So I don't really, and that's another thing, you have to hold down the on button to switch it on, which is a good thing because when it's in your bag, if it gets hit and is switched on and then you find out you've got no batteries left, so I thought that was quite good. You hold it to switch it off, you hold it to switch it on. Small thing, but very good. The first thing when you're in manual mode with this flash gun, which I'll just cycle through, here we are, let's just take a flash and we're on S1, that's why. There Let me just come out of that so I can show you what's going on. So you've got the normal modes, which is TTL. When you put it on a Canon, that puts a nice big E, and so you're doing ETTL, which, if you know anything about flash guns, what that really means is the flash gun's talking to your camera. It's putting out a certain amount of light for any given aperture. So if you're a 5.6 photographer, if you're using 5.6 all the time, which is, you know, what I tend to be with weddings, outside all the time, mostly inside. I am 5.6 when I'm using flash, but you'll see a nice big E come up there, ETTL. With Nikon you'll see ITTL. Whatever it is, what your camera's trying to do really is talk to the flash and get the right amount of light out and back onto your sensor and come out with a good average reading, a good average exposure. When I say average, I mean for average subjects. So if your couple are wearing a grey suit and a grey wedding dress, you're absolutely laughing with ETTL. But unfortunately, as we know, brides tend to wear white wedding dresses and grooms tend to wear black suits. We'll talk about that as we go along, but for weddings, ETTL for me is just a complete waste of time. Try and be controversial if you can, but Canon, Nikon, no matter what you do, we've got couples with white or black outfits on, or light pink dresses. Anyway, I could go on and on. Let's go through this. So I use it in manual mode, like I do all the cameras. Now it's set at 16th power at the moment. The average setting would be 8th power for me. It's a big tip. If you're a 5.6 photographer, your guide number is 58. Let's start using 8th power. Now, just point the flash gun straight up is another tip. White ceiling, just point it straight up. Now, at 8th power, you'll get an average sort of 5.6 exposure, about 3 meters away from you, pointing up to a white ceiling. But because you're pointing it straight up, you'll actually find, if you take flash meter readings all the way around the room, you're getting quite an average sort of illumination around the room. So because the light's spreading, it's got a hot spot on the ceiling, you'll then get this spread out of light. And a big tip, the 8th power. This is not new stuff. I mean, I'm teaching you stuff that's from 30, 40 years ago, to be honest with you. But because everything's changed over to ETTL and everyone's obsessed with it, people aren't using the cameras and the flashes in manual mode unless you're a studio photographer. But it's easier. It's a lot easier. You'll come back with exactly what you want very quickly. Anyway, let's go through the flash. So you've got the normal multi. It will fire off millions of images. Millions of images. I'm back on cameras again. We're on flashes. It will flash, flash, flash. So it'll do 199 there. If you're into that, that's fine, but we'll skip that. So the ETTL mode is very straightforward. You've got a plus and minus EV. So with ETTL, you take a photo, it gets it wrong, and then you put it right. So you can add a bit more flash for the next shot or take a little bit of flash away. This is my whole point of ETTL. What is the point? I don't see why that is faster. So you take a photo of a bride in a white dress and a white background, get it wrong, and then let's add some exposure for the next shot, and then a bridesmaid comes in and she's got a sort of green bridesmaid's dress on, and then let's mine, you know, you're going up and down, a complete waste of time. But you know, when they're running at you down the aisle, fair enough, ETTL is your best friend. You haven't got a hope of doing much with that. So it's very full auto mode, TTL flash. As you can tell, I'm not fond of this at all, because, well, you just learn. 12 years of doing weddings, you just learn why are you doing it. It's so you stop doing it, and then you have a year teaching people photography, and you have another year teaching people photography, and then you're back in your weddings at the same time, and you're in and out of teaching, and you realise, why are we using these things? Why are we using ETTL? It's a big tip not to use it. Anyway, let's go through the one setting why this camera, back on cameras again, flash. Why this flash is better than the 580EX. First reason is it's exactly the same output. So this is a guide number of 58. So that's giving out the same amount of light straight from that tube as the 580EX Mark II. The Mark II was the one I was using in the end. It's got the same sort of bits and pieces. So you've got the car, you know, the diffuser, which is useful again at the ceiling. It'll take the light and it will spread it a bit more for you, so you don't get the hot spot on the ceiling. And it's got the card which is built in there. If we can get it out, there you go. So you've got your filling card, the same as the 580s, so no problem there. The interface to me is much better on this flash. So with the 580s you have a wheel. With these you've got very simple setup, backwards and forwards, and very quickly, say I just want to add a third of a stop, plus 0.3 EV, so we're talking a third of a stop, 2/3 of a stop, 1 stop, and then you see you go straight to quarter power. So that is spot on. I've been using that at the weekend, and you know, it works really well. So you've got a third of a stop increments in manual, and you've got your zoom function, so you can zoom in and out as much as you like. So if you want to put this on a got a bit of a reflection there, let's have a look. So if you put it on 180mm, it's actually zoomed that for us, so we've got a nice hot spot. We can put this on a stand and we can do some creative photography very easily. That's 180mm zoom out. It's just a very simple flash to use. The 580 is nowhere near as easy as this to use. This is a piece of cake. You've also got an auto zoom function, so the A's come up now. So when that goes on your camera, it will just zoom as your lens zooms. It's very useful with the 24-105. So it's defaulting there to 35mm, but as soon as you put that on your new Mark 1.5D or whatever you're going to buy, it picks it up. And I was using it with the 70-200 at the weekend as well, and it worked absolutely great. You know, zooming out to 180mm, and you know, that flash at guide number 58, and if you're using 1600 ISO, you can literally do whatever you like with it. So that's a very good thing. Now, as you cycle through, you'll come to an S1 setting, S2 setting, and this is what sets it as an optical flash. So you can use this with any flash gun that's gone off. So imagine I put a tiny little flash on top of the Canon, and then I put this on a stand on the dance floor. It works absolutely brilliantly. I was using 2 of these together, and people, you know, then the question's going to be, and comment below, because we want to talk about the best equipment to use. Canon, there's so many flashes out now, just, you know, mention a few that you're using and please comment. But the S1 setting at the weekend, at first I thought, if I'm going to use this and somebody, let me just rest it there, my arm's getting a bit heavy there. What if people have got flashes at the wedding and then this flash is going off constantly? That is going to be a major drawback. And I thought, well, it will be, but let's try it anyway. Believe it or not, everyone's got an iPhone now. They've all got LED flashes. So when I say iPhone, I mean Samsung, whatever, camera phone with an LED type flash. Now this does not pick that up, I found. Again, comment below if you've bought one, and it does. So it wasn't affecting that at all. So it's really dialed into just normal flash. So it wasn't a problem at all. It worked absolutely fine. But it meant, what it means for me is I can use a backup camera with with any flash gun on it, and I can fire these off. Now, unfortunately, if you're using the 580s, you've got to either use it a master and slave setup, so you've got to buy two 580 X2s, or you've got to buy their transmitter, which is an infrared type setup. It's an optical setup, but to me, I don't want to keep sticking with that. It's radio is much better if you're going to bother using radio. So use radio. There's lots of good triggers now. Might take a look at it, but to be honest with you, this is working so well that I don't think I'll be bothering. So that's an overview of the flash, how I'm using it. I'm always obviously doing it how I'm using it, and you might want to know other bits and pieces. Have a search online. One thing I will say to you, that this is being repackaged, this flash. In other words, Sunpak or putting it together. Well, someone's putting it together somewhere, obviously, and then it's being rebranded. Now, what I would look at is the fact that the Sunpak comes out of the box as two slave flashes. Again, comment below, because if you can find out how to turn this into a master with the optical system, then I'd like to know. But you can't turn this one into a master. So if you buy two out of the box, they come as slave flashes. So how do you make a master out of this flash gun? So if you know, let me know, and I'll do another video about this. But I can't get this into master mode. I've tried everything. So I went back to the shop and had a look at the other rebranded flash. As I'm talking to you, I'm trying to think of the name. So it's Kenro. Kenro rebadging this flash as well. And you can actually put it in master mode, so you can buy two Kenro flashes, use one as a master and the other as a slave. And when you buy this one, you can't. So there's one for you. If you know what I'm talking, you instantly will know, because you're probably using this flash or you bought one. It's a drawback. It is a drawback to this flash, and it's one thing that I want to get fixed. So I would love to know if you know how. So that's just a quick overview of flash. I'll have to do another video because it's 17 minutes. I waffle. But I hope that helps. I can definitely recommend these. I've got two of them. And number one, number two. So one is literally on the camera, and the other one is optically slaved in S1 mode, and I literally just switched them on and off. And they've been absolutely brilliant. So it's not often I recommend stuff, to be honest. You might find I do reviews on things, but with camera equipment, it's just got to be simple and work and be easy. If you go to richardbarley.co.uk, I haven't put many links all over this YouTube channel, but if you go, you'll see very few images of me using flash. I'm not known for using flash, but I'm starting to use it a bit more now because I'm interested in doing something a little bit different for the next few years. So I hope that helps. Anyway, the 580 is a very good flash gun. It's just that everyone else is starting to do more interesting things. Again, Canon need to look at pricing. What are we paying for? If I can get a flash gun for £65 that does everything I really want it to do, why are we at £300 or £400? But you know, if you want to buy a Canon flash gun for that much money, that's up to you. But anyway, I'm waffling now, so I hope that helps. Keep commenting below, keep asking the questions. I'll try and do some more videos on flash, but yes, I hope that helps. Okay.